Booktube. So I wanted to do a combination video of talking about me completing the 100 book challenge along with a mini celebration because, of course, after finishing the challenge, I went out and bought some books. For those that don't know, the 100 book challenge is where you are reading books off your shelf or books on your e-reader or what have you that you own but haven't read. And you can set yourself a goal like, 25, 50, 75, 100, etc. And so I started this challenge a week or so before the official launch of the 100 book challenge because I didn't know if it was coming back because I had only participated last year for the first time. So I didn't know if it was going to be a regularly occurring event. So I made an announcement here on Booktube, and then like a week or so later, it officially launched. So yes, I started the challenge like it was late October, early November, and I finished, I can't exactly remember the date, but somewhere around like December 10th. Where I hit 100 books, and I have been, let's see, you can kind of see, I have been accumulating all the books for this challenge, like this shelf here and then the one below. That's why they're all like higgledy-piggledy because I just like shoving them in these two shelves. But one way that I was able to accomplish this task of 100 books so quickly is because I would say around 45-50% of those books were ones that I either pulled off my shelf and read up a little bit from and just like, this isn't for me. Like either, well, often it can be, I picked up this book years ago and I'm no longer interested in that topic or that genre, or it could be that, it's just book in and of itself isn't for me, even if I picked it up like a month ago, so, stuff like that. And so, a lot of these books, like I said, around half are books that I didn't read cover to cover, but I did count them for the 100 book challenge because for me, I wanted to declutter my shelves. And so one way of doing that is, easily like unhauling books. So yeah, so it's about 50-50. I had it like the first shelf here was books I read, and the bottom shelf are books that I'm just like, just going out the door. And so yeah, as for my thoughts on how I want to carry that forward this year, I haven't made that many videos this year. Like I mentioned before, I'm like playing a lot of catch up recently because January was a very rocky month, and the beginning of February has been a rocky month as well. But things are looking up, so I'm now back into the swing of things, reading wise, book shopping, and booktube filmmaking. I forgot where I was going with that. But yes, so let me think here. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so as for my thoughts on how, here we go, how I want to carry it forward this year. Since I have, once I'm finally chatting with you, I can now clear these two bookshelves off. Then I'm going to be using them going forward, like one shelf of books I've accumulated, and then the bottom shelf are books I've read. And so I was thinking of doing it just month by month. That way I can see like the ratio of books I'm bringing in versus books that I've read. I think that's a good way to hold myself accountable. And I'm pretty sure once I clear these two bookshelves off, since I have, left that space the last couple of months for those kind of books, I think I'm okay going forward, leaving it like that. So that way it won't interfere with, the rest of my collection here. So I think that'd be a good way of holding myself accountable. And I know last year, what I was doing is to curtail my book buying was to buy books every other month, and that way it slowed things down. And then towards the end of the year, I was only buying books when I was traveling or going to a new city, something like that. Is how I started doing it towards the end of the year. I didn't like calculate how many books I purchased last year, but I know it was much less than it has been in the previous years. And so yeah, going forward, I want to do this shelf by shelf, comparing like what I've read versus what I'm bringing in. I think, it'll be startling, at least in the beginning, because, we can all, no matter how fast you read, you can even more quickly purchase books and have them just like walk into your house very easily versus, reading them page after page. So yes, I think that'll help slow me down. And yeah, as far as like, because this year has been a bit rocky, I haven't read that much, and so I've noticed in myself, and also like late last year as well, like December was very busy, and so I've noticed when I don't read a lot or like my normal rate of things, then it doesn't inspire me to buy books because it makes me feel guilty. I think I mentioned this late last year, but I don't expect all y'all to watch my videos, or all of them, or remember anything. But I will say I have thought about and mentioned that in the past of, I just noticed, like, if I'm not reading, then I feel guilty buying books because I have so many books on my shelves to read. So yes, I think that's a good way for me to look at this. We all have our own ways of doing things, and some people are completely fine with hundreds or or a handful of books unread on their shelves. And another goal that I have for me is I would love it if this year I had just one shelf or around, I don't know, like 25 unread books. I would ideally have said like 0. I don't think, 0 unread books, but I don't think that's realistic. So I'm going to go with 25 and see how the year plays out. I'm not going to beat myself up too much if I don't hit that goal, but I think that would be a good goal of mine. And again, just to focus on books I've read. So all that spiel aside, I did go out and celebrate after I had completed the 100 book challenge, because it was my birthday was right a couple of days later. And so funny enough, I felt greatly rewarded because I have a stack of books here, and they're all what I've accumulated since I last did a book haul on here. So it is quite a number of books, but it isn't it isn't an extreme amount considering it's been quite a while since I've done a book haul. And I will say, when I started the 100 book challenge, late October, early November, something like that, I hadn't bought books. It had been like months, at least to my knowledge. It has been months prior to that, because the last time I bought books was when I was on, I think it was like in September when I was on a vacation. So it had been quite a while when I declared, starting that challenge. It had been at least a month since I had bought books, prior to that. So I feel like I deserved some book shopping, because it had been, what, 3-4 months it feels like. So yeah, that's why I have the number of books. But anyway, so on my birthday, I went to, and I kept the bookmark so I can remember where I went. But I went to Backstory Books and Yarn in Portland, Oregon. And here's their let's see if I can get this on camera, bookmark. But there's cats on this, but I don't, to my recollection, I didn't see any cats. But it has a little cubby of yarn, but it's predominantly books, and it looks like an old house that's been converted. But so this is the very first bookstore I went to after my book buying ban, and I was very, very greatly rewarded because I was able to finish my collection of what I've been calling the Generational Saga Little House on the Prairie series, where it's focusing not on Laura Ingalls Wilder, but on her grandma, great-grandma, mother, and daughter. So anyone else, all the other like relatives in her family that isn't her herself. And so I got the last book in the Charlotte years and one of the books in the Martha years. I already own this book, but this is a much nicer copy. And this is following Martha, who is in Scotland. And then across the Puddingstone Dam is the Charlotte years, and this is taking place in Boston. And for any of y'all who don't know or haven't looked for these books are all out of print. And this one in particular is the hardest book to find. I have been, ever since I learned about these series, I have, every time I go to a bookstore or a thrift store, I've always looked for them, because it's very easy to find, because most of the authors' names start with W-I, so it's easy to look for Wilder for the Little House on the Prairie series, and also look for the adjacent authors, because they all mostly have W's. Like this is, Wiley, it's the same author, but for two different series. So I never thought I would find this, because it's been years, and this is very hard to find. Online, it's very expensive. I found this for $3. I got each of these for $3, and like they're like perfect condition. I was flabbergasted, and this was like the second bookshelf I looked at in this bookstore. I was like, my jaw just dropped. I just could not believe what I had stumbled upon. And so it was a great birthday treat and celebration of the 100 book challenge. I was like, yeah, this is my reward right here. So I got each of these for $3, so it was $6 to break my book buying ban. So I was over the moon to find these books. Okay, so then the next bookstore I went to, I can't remember, I didn't keep the receipt for this one, but it was something like Bold Books and Coffee, something like that. But it is in downtown Portland. And I went to Margaret Pinard's book signing of her newest book, Orla Rafferty Seeks Her Fortune, book 1 of the Widening Gyre series, Gyre. And here is her picture on the back. And she is here on Booktube, and I will leave a link in the description below to her channel. She does a lot of live streams of her books or of her talks. And she interviews other authors and does, I feel like, predominantly all live events. In fact, when I went to her book signing for this launch, the book launch, she was streaming it online. And so along with her discussing this book and reading a quote, a passage out of this, she was also doing a trivia. So it was about trivia about herself and trivia about the time period of when this was set. And let me see here, it's 1833. And let me see here, it's set in, and I'm blanking on the Glasgow, Scotland. And so yes, so she was doing trivia, and so I went up, it was like on camera and in front of everyone, because we all were eligible to pick a question, and if we got the question right, we got a mystery package. And so my question was related to the relationship between the United Kingdom and Scotland, I believe, at the time. So my package was my present was these sticky notes, like the tabs, the sticky tabs. I'm not one of those people that have a lot. I will use them when I have like an adventure book, like a hiking book, like tab the ones I'm interested in, like different trails I'm interested in, or ones I've gone to, or like cookbooks. I will sometimes tab, different recipes I'm interested in, or ones I've already cooked from. So that's probably what I'll use these from, but now I have a plethora of these because like I said, I don't use them that much. But yeah, it was a fun little gift to have. Like some people were getting like journals or bookmarks, things like that. So it was lots of fun. I had to go to this book signing, and I haven't been to a book signing in forever and ever. The last book signing I went to was, let me think here. It was The Wheel of Time, book 11 or 12. I think it was book 12. It was when Brandon Sanderson had signed on to take over the writings of Robert Jordan. It was after Robert Jordan had died, but his wife, Harriet, was on tour with Brandon Sanderson. So this was back in, I don't even know, 2011, 2012, something. I don't know, around there. It's been a long, it might be around there. Yeah. So it's probably been like 15 years, give or take, since I went to a book signing, because I don't go to those often. But when I saw that, she was announcing her event, Margaret Pinard, and I follow her on Booktube, I was like, oh, she's right in my neighborhood. So I couldn't resist popping over. And I also, since it's a cafe, I got a coffee drink there as well. And it's a really cute bookstore, like, locally owned and run. And I had never been there before. So it was fun, an overall really funny experience. Okay, so moving forward to Powell's, the most, I feel like, known bookstore here in Portland. I just got 2 books, and I went to the gigantic downtown location. So just getting 2 books is restraining myself. But so I got a Bruce Catton book, and I have read several of his Civil War trilogies and his standalone books, but this is what I'd never heard of before. Banners at Shenandoah, and it says, the rousing, action-packed novel of the boy who fought at General Sheridan's side through some of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War. And so I was highly intrigued. I love these old, mass market paperbacks, these Bantam paperbacks, and I love anything Bruce Catton writes. I love his writing. It's like you're stepping into like a historical fiction novel, because it just reads like a story. He takes you into those mindsets and like into that time period like so easily without you struggling at all. You don't feel like you're reading history. So highly recommend anything Bruce Catton related. So I didn't even need to read anything other than the blurb here in the back to know I will like this book. And then the other book I got at Powell's was a really cool edition of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. And so the introduction series is by Guillermo del Toro, but it has like the black, was it sprayed edges? Is that what it's called? And it says on the back here, no live organism can continue for long to exist sanely under conditions of absolute reality. And so, yeah, I love Shirley Jackson. And it has like the black end papers, and Oh yeah, it came with a bookmark here. And a sticker of books and flowers and whatnot. And here's the inside. Let's see, is there any other artwork? It like has like a little like the gray edges and then the titles on the side here. But yeah, just the cover and everything is just what got me. It's, you know, and it's hardcover too. Because the last edition I had of this was a penguin, the black spine penguin, with a different. It has an orangey house on it as well, but it's paperback, and so this one will last me like a lifetime. And so, happily, I got that one. Okay, then I went to Silverton, Oregon. I was going to this waterfall area, and you have to pass through Silverton to get there. It's called the Silver Falls State Park, and it's where you can walk. I didn't do the full path. I only, because when I went, it was in January, and it was nice and sunny. It had been sunny for days and days, so it hadn't rained yet, so I knew it wasn't going to be muddy. But I didn't really think about it, how it's like you have to go into this like canyon to get down there where the waterfalls are. And because it's constantly in shadow and shade with all the trees, everything was frozen, so it was so slick. So I only managed to see 2 of the waterfalls before I had to turn around. I couldn't keep going. It was not going to be a fun time for me, just sliding everywhere, every step. But I did stop at a local bookstore, a bookstore I'd never gone to before, and I didn't save. I don't think I have the bookmark here. But it was like the only bookstore in the town of Silverton. So I got a couple of fun books. Let me see here. And they're all like Sweet Valley related. So I got Sweet Valley University Sorority Scandal, book 9. And then I got 2 senior year, books 15 and 21. And these are ones like photographs on them. But these are all related to the Sweet Valley High series that I read as a kid, like middle school, high school age. And so whenever I see these, I pick them up. I used to own so many of them, but I went away to college. I didn't keep them. But these are just like fun, quick, reads, and they're full of drama and soap opera nonsense. But they're good palate cleanser. So I'd like eventually to collect them all. So I got those. And then I went to, let me see, what's the name of this one? Chaparral Books in Portland. And I got several nonfiction books. So I have here a Library of America of, let's see here, the Nature Writings of John Muir. And it includes The Story of My Boyhood and Youth, My First Summer in the Sierra, The Mountains of California, Stickin', and there's several essays as well. So it's a very chunky book. It's always deceiving, these, because yeah, it's almost 1,000. Okay, so I'm not sure where I left off. I swallowed wrong, and so I got into a coughing fit. But so I got the John Muir collection, Library of America edition, and it has a built-in bookmark, and the pages are like treated, and so or whatever they're made of, they don't dull or like discolor, so they'll stay this white color. My only complaint is that the font can be small, but it's manageable to read. But this was in such nice condition, and it has the plastic covering over the dust jacket. And John Muir is an author I really want to read more from. As someone who loves reading nature writing, I haven't read near enough of him. So I got this whole bind up to give me that extra encouragement. And then I got several other nonfiction books. I kind of stayed in one section of the bookstore and just like combed those specific bookcases. And so I got several books by Rick Bass, Wild to the Heart. He writes a lot of books set in Montana, in the northwest corner. Brown Dog of the Yak. The Yak Valley. That's where he lives. And here's the author there. I've read several books by him in essay collections. And I saw these books, so I couldn't pass it up. The Book of the Yak, because it was very affordable to get. So I just got 3 books by the same author, because he hasn't let me down yet. So I figure these books won't either. And then the last book from that bookstore is Spring Came On Forever by Bess Streeter Aldrich. And let me see here. This is The Prairie Pioneer Experience. It's a novel of 2 Nebraska pioneer families settling in the 1930s. And there's an artist, and there's romance. This seems like a novelization of someone's real life, perhaps. I'm not sure, but it was in the nonfiction section, so maybe this might have been misplaced. If it's talking about the novel. So anyway, still around the same thing. And then the last bookstore I went to, and one of the greatest finds. So like in the ending, I mean, I'm starting and ending the book haul on like a fantastic find with the Little House on the Prairie series, and then this one. So this is from Robert's Bookshop. Like I mentioned, we had really sunny days in Oregon, like in January, and it's not common, especially to have 3 weeks of it. So I went to the beach, Lincoln City, Oregon. I've only went to this town a couple of times, so this is a bookstore I've never gone to before, but it was gigantic. It was room after room after room of books, and it was like one of those stores where your eyes feel like you're gonna fall out of your head because some of the areas were very narrow, and so like everywhere you just felt like the bookcases were closing in on you. But I'm so happy I went there because I found a whole pile of Gladys Tabor books, and I know there's several Gladys Tabor lovers out there as well, like I am, and because her books are also out of print, so they can be hard to find or they can be very pricey. These books were not on the cheaper end of things, but they were still reasonable considered what you would pay online to find them. So I found a book I've never heard of before from her, Another Path. And she writes, sorry, I like coughing fit again. I'm not sick, but I just swallowed wrong. But she writes mostly about her little farm town. I mean, her little farming house in Still Meadow. She calls her house Still Meadow, but it's in Connecticut. And then she has a summer house on Cape Cod. So a lot of her books have Still Meadow in the title. This one is The Book of Still Meadow. This one doesn't have a dust jacket, but again, if I find one of these books, I'm happy to get it. So this is going month by month. A lot of her books do tend to go month by month. Okay, Still Meadow Seasons. And let's see, I bet this one might go month by month as well. But yeah, a lot of them have really pretty illustrations, black and white drawings. Okay, so I have that one. And then the last one I got is Still Meadow Sampler. And I love this cover. It's like the old, the sampler cross stitch look to it. And so it was too cute not to pass up. And this was going by season, summer, spring, and etc. So, and again, full of drawings. And a lot of these books came out in the 40s, I believe, 40s and 50s. Let me see here. Yeah, 1950 is when this one came out. Not this edition, but yeah, it has that old book smell for sure. So let's see if I can do no, maybe I can't do a pile of all the books I've accumulated since I've done a book haul. I feel like I got some great finds, a good mismatch of things. And they're gonna go on this bottom shelf here of the books I've hauled, and then this top one here is gonna be the books I've read. Now that I can finally clear those bookcases off. Kind of. Yeah, so those are all the books I got. Yeah, so considering it's been 2 months. So I started on my birthday, middle of December. So it's been practically 2 months. So I don't feel like that's too bad of a book haul. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on reading challenges like this, or book buying habits, or the books I've hauled. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.